Okay, God, yep. So, good evening, everybody. I'm so sorry we haven't been able to go through our classes recently. It's because I have been sick for what not over a week now, but I'm all good now. So, I'm doing okay now. So, I gave 6 minutes, 7 minutes grace, and nobody showed up as usual. And this class is going to end in 30 minutes. It's going to be for just 30 minutes, so we're just going to push it up and be fast about it. So we'll go over it as quick as possible. So let us start. Today we are doing CSS. Okay, today we are doing CSS. We are giving a proper introduction to CSS. So now, I told you guys before, in a web page is just like a human being. HTML is the bone, the structure, like the inner part of the body, that is the bone. Then CSS is the body, like the actual flesh that makes it look so beautiful and nice and attractive. That's what CSS does. And JavaScript or Python or PHP, all those scripting languages are the brain. They make it come alive. That's a way of describing a full web page for you. So today we are going to talk about CSS. In our previous classes, we introduced CSS in order to complete our work. So today we are going to go deeply into CSS. So what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. It is not a scripting language, it is just a styling language. So CSS is just used for, like I said earlier, to give beautify your page, give it a good looking UI or format that is very catchy to the eye, depending on who you are programming for. So now, after, that's just pretty much it about CSS. That's the whole introduction. So now, CSS now, like I said earlier, stands for cascading style sheets. There are other things that CSS are good for. They help you in making your work faster and making it more organized. It makes the page load faster. Like when you're using CSS, it's quite easier. So CSS is just pretty much everything. So, and it also helps us to design for device compatibility. You know, in those cases where you see a phone device, like when you go to a website on a mobile device, it looks different than when you visit the website on a laptop. That's what CSS does. It helps to make our page more compatible with different devices. So also CSS can do various things, like you can animate using CSS. You can make the page come alive with CSS. So far there are three versions of CSS for now. So they have the level 1, which is CSS 1, which was introduced in 1996. Wow, that was a long way. And then CSS 2, which was introduced in 1999, and then CSS 3, which is the one that we are currently using right now. CSS 3 are the ones we use. So CSS, they have extension features like selection, box model, background and borders, image value, replace content, text effects, 2D, 3D transformation, animation, multiple column layout, and user interface. These are the things you can do with CSS. You can program all of these things with your CSS. So let us go ahead and see the syntax we can use for our CSS. So now, how will I put it to you? Okay, let me explain. In a normal CSS code, they have what they call the selector. They have the selector, which I told you guys in the previous class about IDs. Okay, let me even give type of selectors. The selector, they have ID, they have class, and they have a generic selector. Now, after selector, you have the property. The property. Now, the property can be any attribute of an element. Like I told you guys in the last class, where we changed the color of our body and then set the background, the width, and everything. Yeah, those are properties. So, type of properties, you have border, you have color, you have width, and so on and so forth. There are many of them that are properties of an element. So after that, then we now have the value of the element. So a value can be anything. You can choose it to be a value of px when you are setting values for height or something. The values can be a color. The value can also be what will I call it now? The value can also be just text. Like a text is how will I call it? Is a syntax for value, like not just a normal text. Like I'll show you guys in a bit. So it might be quite confusing. So a CSS property, like a CSS, an element is made up of a selector, a property, and the value, which is this guy, this guy, and this guy. So to actually write uh, a full CSS, you need these three values to be present for it to actually work. So let us give it a try. Let us give it a try and see what a CSS actually is. So in this case, we are going to use this guy, the developers help. Yeah, we used it some time ago. Okay, let's create a new file. Yeah, so let's call it a new file. Let's call it css.html. Remember, you guys, the extension you save your work. So now that we are here, so remember the first thing I told you guys, you type your doc type and whatever. So but in our case, there is a shortcut to do that, which is shift key and 1. So it's taking much time. It's supposed to load up something. So let us try again. Okay, it's taking so much time, so we're just going to skip it and type it manually. So let's type it manually. Okay, I think we should be back now. Still not back. Okay, let's just start it manually. So we're just going to be fast about this. So we're going to be fast. So time. So like I said, we have just 30 minutes for this class. Oh, now I know why it wasn't working. I made a mistake with the extension name. So it seems as a normal test. Let us remove this. So now it should work. Alright, so this guy come down. Yeah, it works. So let us get this guy out and say CSS intro. Alright, so let us start it up with a lifesaver. Let's go and stop the other one that was working. Let's start a new one. So now we have a body here. So you can select this body generically. So let me show you guys the example of what I was trying to show you guys earlier. So remember the last time I told you guys, I'm just going to show you guys a simple CSS text, and then we'll include them and I'll show you how to include it externally. So we type style here, and let's select generic like body. So now this body is an element in the DOM. Remember you guys in our first class when I was introducing HTML, I told you guys about something they call DOM, document object model. So the DOM is something that changes a code and translates it back to what your humans can read. So now we are selecting the body at the DOM element. So now let us start. First of all, we have selected it, which was our selector, like we say here, which was our selector. So in our case, we are using the generic selecting type, which is the body. Then now we are going to put a property. So what are we targeting in the body property? Let us target the background. Background color is a property we are targeting. So please, if you can hear me, send the message so I know that you can hear me. So now we have selected the property which we want. Now the next thing is the value. Let's give it a value of what we want it to be. So the next value should be the property of color. So in our case, let us make it black. I just love black. So now we have written a full CSS. So let us see if this guy have loaded somewhere. Okay, let's see if it loaded some. Sorry about this, was my earlier work. Sorry. Yes, that this guy hasn't loaded anywhere. So now let's load it manually. So this is my earlier work. Okay, let us start it. It says it's running already, so why is it not showing? It's supposed to show somewhere here. Regardless, let us find it here manually and okay, so let us find it manually and start it up since it doesn't want to load for us. So let's find it. Okay, so now we have did our first CSS. We did the selector, then the property, and then the value. Sorry, I'm just going to look for our code so we can open it. Sorry about that. HP. Okay, see, I think it's okay. Here it is. Alright, see it here. So let us open it. It's Chrome. Alright, that should open now. Okay, so sorry about whole folder and stuff. So back to what we were saying. There are three ways you can include a CSS file. There are three ways you can include CSS file. First of all, you can do the first one. Remember I told you guys that day, I taught you guys how to include CSS and we're going to go deeply in it. So the first one, let's make our text, let's say a paragraph, and then let's give it a class of paragraph 1. Okay, so now this is the first way you can include your CSS. You can type the CSS code in the elements. You can type the CSS code in the element. Now when you type CSS code in the element here, you can type in your CSS codes here by using the style attributes, this right here. So when you type style, you put the double quotes and then you type your CSS code inside this double quotes. So let's say we want to add a text color of red to the paragraph. So let's say color. Now we have selected this guy by adding the CSS directly to it. Then now we have taken a property which is the color and we are giving it a value which is red. So now let's give in our text in here. Let's say hello world. Alright, So let's see if our CSS file have loaded on the browser yet. I don't know what they saw, but this is no one load for browser. Okay, let us load it again manually. So let's open this Chrome. Sorry about the hold up. Our class done the finish your old self. But alright, we are good. So please, if you can hear me, please do not indicate so I know somebody is hearing me at least. Okay, let's open the page. Alright, that should load. Okay, before let's allow it to load, and when it's doing that, let's continue to go ahead something else. Okay, now we have done uh the first inclusion. So let me write it out here. There are three ways to include a CSS file. Number one is inline. Inline is the one that you just saw right now. Then number two is internal, and number three is external. All right, so we have seen inline, which is this one we did right here. This is inline CSS, and then we have seen internal, which is this guy. So actually you can write this style anywhere in the HTML file. You can choose to come down here and write it doesn't matter. Now we are going to see the last one, which we have not done before, which is external linking. So to link a CSS externally, you first of all type in the keyword link. Now thanks to what is it called, Visual Studio, we have an options, but I'm going to do it manually so you guys will see and understand how it works. So when you do link, you see it says here rel. This here is saying relative, like what is this file you are trying to link, what type of file you are trying to link. So in our case, we are going to put in style sheet to tell the browser that I'm trying to link a file that is a style sheet, that is a CSS file. So the next one is href. Remember I told you guys href is a target location. So this is going to give the browser a place to look for, a pointer to look for, where to look for it. So we are going to call it our style.css, and then we are going to go ahead and create that file. So we are going to come here and create the file here. So we're going to create a new file, and then we are going to call it style.css. So that is it. We have created our first CSS file. So now let us start coding into our first CSS file and see what's up, if it's working or not, that kind of stuff. So now let us go ahead and see what's going on. So now let us code our first stuff. So let us go to our work. Okay, we have our paragraph here. So in this case, let us create a new paragraph and then call it an ID. Let us use an ID here. We've used a class at the first paragraph, and then we're going to use an ID. So now let me tell you something. You can give two attributes the same name as long as they don't have the same selector. Anyway, like now this class p1 and id p1 are not the same. They are not the same selected. Let's say we call this guy hello world also. So now when we go to our CSS file here, to reference that, we are going to use hash. This is for id, ids is for hash, and paragraphs is for dot, and class is dots. So now we say hash p1 we have selected P1 elements, and then we will now give it, we select the property we want to manipulate. Let's select the border, and then you put this column, and then you give it a value. So in our case, we want the border to have a value of 3px and to have a color of green. So we say 3px solid green. So now when we start our code, I don't know what's holding up with this thing. It doesn't want to load up. I'm just going to open it with another browser and see. I just open it with another browser. So let's open it with Firefox. I don't know why Chrome is just misbehaving. Okay, so it has opened on Firefox. It's loading. Let's wait for it to load the fast place. So now, as I was saying, paragraph 1, this guy and this guy is not the same. There are two different things. Okay, so it have loaded. So let us bring it to this side so you all can see what's going on. Again, sorry. Okay, so now okay, what's going on? Oh god, my laptop is going bonkers. Okay, now can you guys see that we have this green something here? So while we are working, we referred hash p1 to have a border of 3px solid green, and that is what we are seeing right here. This is this guy, and then we came here in the inline css and gave class class p1 an inline css of color red. Can you guys see here? It says red color here. And then we came to our code and gave body, which is an internal css. We gave you a body of black color, which is a background color of black, and which is what you're seeing right here. So now let me show you the difference between class and IDs. Now they are not the same. Like I told you, you see, we have the same name but different selectors. This one is hash and this one is dot. The hash one comes with ID and the dot comes with class. So let's give this second one another attribute. Let's say a border of 3px solid pink. So now you guys will see the difference. What it will do, it will affect that text, that hello world that has red color, instead of affecting the second one. So let us go back here. I don't know what's happening. My laptop is messing up with me again. Okay, so can you guys see now? Let me increase the screen and see if it's okay. Let's zoom it in. Okay, yes, I think this will do. Okay, can you guys see now? We have two different color borders, but they have the same we use the same name to call them, but different selectors. We used in this one a class selector to call this one, and we used an ID selector to call this one. So these are the three ways you can include a CSS file. These are the three ways you can include a CSS file. So let us go ahead and type a bunch of code in our CSS. So now that I showed you guys how to include it, I'm going to teach you a very important something that you use throughout your CSS code or your journey. That is the measurement units. Now I told you guys are just seeing 3px and don't understand what it is. This 3px you see right here is the measurement unit. It's a way you measure things in CSS. So now let us go ahead and show you guys or teach you guys what measurement units are. So let's say measurements measurement units in CSS. Okay. So we have the percent, which is the percent. We have EM. You have a CM. You have REM. Sorry. You have REM. You have VH. Oh God. You have VH, and we have PC. We have PT. We have PT. Oh my God. We have VW. Oh my God. We have VW me. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Is V me. And we have which other one again do we have? Oh, we have PX. I forgot about PX. So now these are the measurement units you have in CSS. Now the percentage defines a measurement as a percentage relative to another value. Let us say we like now we have this our P1 here, and we want this P1 to contain 50% of the parent value, or of the parent, which is the body. So this P1 now is related, is a grandchild, is a child of body. Remember when I was teaching you guys HTML and whatnot, I taught you guys about what is it called, parent, child, and grandchild in HTML hierarchy. So this paragraph is a child of body. So if you give this paragraph a percent of 50, it's going to take out 50% out of this body. So let us see what it looks like. So let us give this guy a width, sorry, cap lock on, a width, which is the value of 50%. Now let us go back and refresh. Okay, can you guys see? It took out 50%, which is half of the entire page. So now let us go back and see other values. So let's give this guy a width of 50px, and then we'll come back here and refresh. Can you guys see it now? It took 50px out of the page and gave it to this guy. So this guy took only 50px and this guy took 50%. So now this comes to the conclusion of today's class. So as an assignment, I want all of you to go ahead and read about EM, CM, REM, VH, PC, PT, and VM. Then in our next class, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to use each and every one of them. So until then, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you for today's class. And